It's been a while since I've done an actual technical tutorial, and I've learned a bit about Typst, quite a bit about Typst, and I thought I'd share, like, beyond just the docs, what are the good tips and tricks to get started to build some proficiency in this language, and also at the same time kill a few birds with one stone. I'm going to talk about the setup. How do you have a nice local setup for this? What are the different ways you can write in Typst? So it'll be like a general intro video, and I'll even make chapters, which is unprecedented. That's an unprecedented amount of effort for me. So you better make use of those chapters. So let's create a new Typst file. Actually, no, I want to talk about, well, actually, yes. But I'm going to talk about the different ways that you can edit Typst. So what I have here, tutorial.type, is a local setup. Oops. There we go. And I'm using the editor NeoVim and just the Typst compiler. The Typst compiler is a CLI, which you point at your files, and then you say Typst compile, and then it'll output a PDF. It's also got the Typst watch command, which continually recompiles. And then it's got some other commands in there too that can help with templating and whatnot. But those are more advanced features. So that's one way to edit this. Have like a live preview, and you can see, I can pull up live preview. I have a little shortcut for it. Might take a second to start. Or maybe the document is just not been written yet, so that's why it's not previewing. There we go. Yeah, that's like 100 times slower than I've ever seen it, I swear. But now you can see we can update this live. We can start typing math and all this kinds of stuff. So what are the other setups? The local I consider the best, local with Vim. Second best is if you don't want to set up Vim and everything, you can go to, if you have VS Code or Atom or something like that, there's a repository called TinyMist, and this is the LSP client. It's maintained by Myriad Dreamin, who's like a huge icon in the Typst community. They'll show you how to install this, and it also bundles that preview feature that I showed you. The way that's working under the hood, by the way, is Typst is compiling to an HTML document that's full of SVG fragments, which is like just really brilliant engineering. And that document is cross-compatible with PNGs, JPEGs, plain SVGs, HTML, PDFs, of course. I think there's also coming extensions for the weirder PDF formats like EPUB or Deja Vu files. So then the last setup, which is also good, is typst.app, which is free and is like a public web editor. I use this in streams for people helping me with stuff. You can see someone's hanging out on there. This web editor is really good, to be honest. It's got built-in Vim motions. It's like basically complete. It's live preview, just updating in the browser. Really impressive. They managed to ship out this product. And I see a comment from old latex chads. If you're one of those guys who's like, man, this newfangled stuff is just not the same. Like, it's all proprietary and closed source. People see this and they think it's like Overleaf, where it's like everything's stored in the cloud. The reason this is just like not good is it's, well, I guess they have probably a paid cloud service, but Typst is open source itself, and you can download the CLI and run this in Doom Emacs if you want, dude. It's like, this is just their web editor product, and for the record, they did really well with it. So if you're new to Typst, this is the easiest setup. This is really good. You can export things. It's a great web editor, honestly. They did a very good job with it. I like my local setup because it works with that Wi-Fi. All right, so into the basics. I'm not going to show like all the super basic features, like getting titles with equal sign, and then subtitles, whatever, and like italics and bold and whatnot. That's pretty similar to Markdown with the exception of the equal sign instead of the hashtag. That's all pretty simple stuff. You can learn about it in the comprehensive docs, which are really, really good. And they'll tell you all the different symbols and how to do different things. I guess I want to split this into a couple different cases, one for like math people and then one for just general type scripting and styling. So what are my main tips for math? Well, I actually have a whole little like prelude file I've been working on, a whole little template, and I'll copy that over. I guess I put this in the root directory. So let's split this and then go up and then find my homework directory, and then prelude. Okay, and then let's copy this. Let's just yank to the bottom. Paste in here, and then get rid of that. All right. Now we've got a bunch of different things here. So I've defined a bunch of little variables. You can just directly declare variables. You might know that. This is a pretty basic thing of types. We'll get to more advanced tips in a later section, don't worry. But basically, you can create all these custom abbreviations. I have lequel, dequel, gequel, nequel. That was a close one. But all of these other ones, like these are basic little symbols. This is a QED symbol. You can see it's just aligning to the right like a filled square. And then I have a pretty interesting little thing. So there are these things called show rules and types. And let me bring this out for simplicity. Let's go norm to the beginning and then hit a hashtag. There we go. So what these do is they capture either a regex or a specific type of element and they transform it in some way. So what this allows us to do is modify the syntax of the language directly. So if I type proof, you can see it immediately gets a colon and it gets italicized as opposed to normal text, which is not. And the way that's working is I have this regex capture group that's saying case insensitive, detect proof, and then spit this out. And this is the syntax for italics. We could even make it underlined, I bet. We could do text underline black maybe. I'm not exactly sure what the arguments it wants me to pass to underline are, but we can check. I've never tried underlining before. It's just a Boolean. What is it? Let's see. The documentation is pretty good most of the time. Underline. I don't see underline in here. We'll try true. Maybe style, underline, or maybe. So this is weird. I've never tried this before, so don't blame me for floundering around a little bit. Would this work? Expected expression found underscores. So we need to move our content brackets around a little bit in here, I think, to do that. Oops. This is what you get for not really preparing for a tutorial beforehand, but there we go. So that wasn't that bad. The underline is just defined in a function. And back to this, so then I have regex for QED, so I can just do this for a proof. You can see on the other side we'll get our black square. This is just really nice inline syntax, and then I can type my, let epsilon greater than 0, greater than equal to 0. And you can see the snippets fall right in. I have a snippet for implies, but I want to go more with snippets. That's basically the snippet I use the most. And then let's see, other regex, I guess I just have problem and then a digit. And actually what we want to do probably is digit any number of times. So now if I type problem and then let's say 01, you can see it gets bolded and then we put a little period after it. And you can do all kinds of things with these show rules. It gets pretty incredible. The symbols and stuff, there's symbol documentation on how to get this. All right, that's like all the math basics I really use on a day-to-day to style things. Let me get into some slightly more advanced styling stuff. So one thing that's common is you want to style the page completely. So use set rules for this. And this sets the properties of specific elements. So we're going to set the page and then we're going to pass in some arguments to it. We're going to set the fill to black. And now we've got a black page and we can do set text, fill white. And now we have a dark mode document. And then you can just comment that out, uncomment it out. You've got a dark mode switch just like that. You can fill any custom theme you want. Why did I pick white? Red, sure. I have kind of a nice soothing blue theme usually, but that's a useful trick. You can also set the width of the page. This is useful when you're making a specific, like flashcards, if you want your Typst notes to automatically export a sheet of flashcards for different theorems. So you could, for instance, like use a regex group to rip out the word theorem and then pipe it through to a flashcard sized page. So how big is a flashcard? Maybe 3.5 inches, height 2.5 inches, and you pass arguments just like this, and now we've got a flashcard, right? And we could generate a ton of these. So let's say this is our whole proof. We can actually use the built-in for loops in the language, for I in range, just like Python. Say what you will about Python, the for loop syntax is pretty nice. And I actually used the wrong kind of brackets there. We want square brackets because this is content. And let's see, is this throwing an error? Unexpected block. Why are you unexpected? There we go. I was just missing a space. So now we've generated a ton of flashcards. You can print this all out. The way I export this is with make and vim, but we're in the root, so I can show you how the Typst CLI handles this. And the basic is we'll do typst compile tutorial.type, and then we do that. If I open up my Finder window, you can't really see it, but it's going to be exported as a PDF. Let's see, where did that end up? Here we go. How do I open this in a way that looks good? Yeah, it's just a simple PDF. There's a couple useful features of the compiler you might want to know. The first is format, so we can say do that as a PNG. Okay, but it wants a page number argument for PNGs, I guess. And you just pass it an argument like that. We can also hit HTML. HTML is only available with features. HTML is passed. Okay, but you get the idea. You can hit a bunch of different formats. That's pretty nice. And then there's also, of course, Typst watch, and that'll recompile. Oops, I accidentally. There, I'll recompile, and you can see the compile times are amazingly impressive. So you might ask also, like, why would you exactly want for loops? There's a great example in my number theory homework recently. Let's see, not this one, but this one, yeah, where there's a question about doing the sieve of Eratosthenes, and you can see this homework. My preview is taking a little longer to load. This is almost always instant. But I have like an isPrime function, just directly a scripting language embedded into your document, so you don't have to ever break out Python. The scripting language is pretty nice too. It's got like all the functional features you would expect. Like if we have an array of stuff, we can do all and any and pass in predicates and all that stuff. This might be, I have no idea why it's not loading, to be honest. I have to fix something most likely with my TinyMist installation. But you can also use the vim make command for people using Vim. You better be using Vim if you watch this channel. And the Typst or the TinyMist plugin will auto change your make PRG to this Typst compile diagnostic format short homework. Oh, there's one other argument I wanted to show in the Typst compiler. Typst compile tutorial.type. You can do pixels per inch, which is nice if you want really high resolution images, which actually comes up more than you would think. So yeah, let me talk about a couple of styling things that I've done before that I think are pretty cool. So let's get rid of all this. You probably want to align elements at a certain point in your document. So let's say we have some math like phi of x equals x squared. I could come up with a way cooler thing than that, but I don't know. I just want some basic math. You can see it starts up there. There's multi-line math, which in LaTeX you use double $, but in Typst you just use this. You can get alignment pretty easily. Well, these are basic features. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but if we say and equals 2 or and greater than equal to 2, and then we do this and we make like this way longer, we have to add a backslash to escape the line, but you can see it'll align on that. So that's kind of nice. But what if we want to place this somewhere else? Like what if we want this in the center of the document or something? Well, we can use the align function and then pass in a center plus horizon. And then if we put this, we'll get it snapped right to the center. And you can play around with all this alignment. And this is really useful for building. You can honestly make websites in this or infographics. So we could do, well, center plus left is redundant. Left plus bottom, right, top, horizon. Oh, that's redundant. Left plus horizon. Yeah, so you can see you can get all the alignments like that. There's also the place function, which essentially does the same thing, but align is relative to its parent's container and place is like global. There's a little more to it than that, but that's the basic gist. So that's a very useful thing to do. You can also have arrays in Typst, which is really nice. And they're just defined like this. And I don't know, you could pass in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes it's nice you want to show like the first 5 values of a function. Say it's like x squared. So let's actually do a table and do some functional stuff with it. So let's declare a table. And inside the table, we're going to have, let's do 2 columns. Or yeah, 2 columns. So we can say columns 2. And then let's do, let me think. Maybe we actually want 5 columns. You can pass in this array by spreading it. And expected content found integer. It doesn't like that we're passing direct integers, but what we can do is map this to a string. And let's say, yeah, let's put in the array and map it to strings. And then let's also put in the array again, but this time map to x going to x times x, and we'll put a string around it. And now we've got an interesting little setup, and we could do even something like, I don't know, columns 5, and now we've got x and x squared. And you know, you could label that and whatever. But tables are a nice little feature for doing just like series of values coming out of a function, calculating something like that. Also, someone asked the other day, what about modules? We do have modules. So if I open up my homework for analysis, we can basically import. I have a prelude file, so you can do it like prelude, Control XF. Okay, not finding it, .type. And then from that, we can import star, and that's how you import. Okay, it was throwing an error, but expecting semicolon or line break. I hit a colon at the end, but that's how you do that. You can just import out, and then there's tons of packages for Typst. I guess people always are asking, like, can it do this and this? Typst packages. This is kind of like a mix of intermediate and beginner stuff, I guess. So if you're hoping for more advanced stuff, that'll be coming in the future as I learn more about this language. But yeah, you can draw things, search through all these templates and packages. This is like their thing, and it's very easy to import. You can copy, or you can, yeah, hit one of those bad boys, or you can create a project directly in the app. They have an integration for that. So yeah, overall, it's cool. It's a great little language. Let me think if there's any other things that I want to mention. There's a couple common math notations, I guess. These are good tricks, like RR for bold. And sometimes you want to, I don't know, I have like RN for R to the N. You want to create really common abbreviations. Yeah, there's nothing like, oh, you can get the Greek letters by typing them, and then you can capitalize the beginning to get the capital version. That's quite nice as compared to LaTeX. Yeah, just start using it and build up one of these as you go. And there's a couple of more advanced features like context and stuff, but I think they have use cases that are a little too specific. But yeah, let me know your tips. And if you like technical content, I'm kind of like fiending to get back into making niche tutorials that like tons of normies don't pour into, and going over technical details of things a little bit more. So yeah, I'll catch you next time.